Hey guys, welcome to Did You Get That on Film? On this podcast, we deep dive into horror movies, and so it is full of explicit content as well as spoilers. Please be advised. Now, let's get to the show.
This is Did You Get That on Film? Where we discuss characters in terrible situations that we would never find ourselves in. I'm your host, DP, and with me always is my friend, someone who knows that books are for reading and not for storing liquor. My friend Ruth. What's going on, Ruth?
That is very funny. That's super silly. But hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are happy to have you. And on that note, today we will be talking about Black Christmas. Yay!
Black Christmas. The original.
Yes, the original. So, this is the original that was released in 1974, and it was directed by Bob Clark, who also directed A Christmas Story. I thought that was very interesting. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah.
That's this guy.
I've never seen it, but I know that's popular.
It's one of Sebastian's favorite Christmas. It's an insanely popular Christmas movie. It's like a coming of age Christmas movie. But I thought that was funny that he directed two of, I guess, arguably like the go-to in like regular Christmas movies and the go-to in like horror Christmas movies. I just thought it's like those memes where it's like get you a dude that could do both type thing.
It is like that. He's multifaceted.
Yeah. And then I thought also very cool, he was born in New Orleans. Is that crazy?
That's cool. Oh, man. I always want to watch these movies, and then I end up, just like, not.
It's okay.
It's like, it takes a lot out of me to watch a movie I haven't, like, how can I put it? Like, everybody has already seen it, so I'm just like, oh, I already missed that conversation. So I'm going to just catch the next new little thing.
It doesn't have to, you don't have to be a part of the conversation. You could see it to widen your own horizons.
It's not a book. It's not Schindler's List.
But
it's not Norbit.
Film is an important medium.
Of course it is. It's why we have this podcast.
Right. But yes, okay. So this particular movie, also a Christmas movie, but just in a different vein. So it was originally titled Silent Night, Evil Night, and sometimes you can still find that title if you look it up online. Sometimes that will come up on, I guess, like posters, maybe like a DVD copy in like Canada or something. But Black Christmas is definitely a better title, in my opinion.
Because then they wouldn't have been able to have Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Right. That people would have been like, wait, what? Which one? I don't know. That would have been too confusing. With Silent Night, Deadly Night, I think had a different name too originally. So they might have had to go with whatever the hell that was. But I like Silent Night, Deadly Night better than that, whatever that title was going to be too. So it was also retitled Stranger in the House for television screenings. The movie is actually considered one of the earliest slasher films. It is a part of, I guess, a film series. So it's technically 3 standalone movies. So you have Black Christmas, then you have a Black Christmas remake that was released in 2006. And then you have another Black Christmas like remake that was released in 2019.
Yeah, that's a very loose version of a film series. That's just like 3 people saying, "I'm gonna tell you this story. I'm gonna tell it to you right this time."
Exactly. That's exactly what it's like. There's also a novelization of the movie, and I was like, I don't think this needed a novelization. I don't think it
I don't
needed
know
that.
those, because sometimes those go hard, like for real. Because I love to read novelizations of Halloween movies, and I remember like back when like the first like two seasons like Charmed was out, they would have like novelizations, and you can read that.
I also read the novelization of Halloween 2018. I actually thought it was better in book form than in movie form. So they can be really good. I'd have to see this one because I have some feelings about this movie.
Okay, well I guess we should start because I have.
Do you
I thought
also
this shit
have
was
some
scary.
feelings? Okay,
I thought this shit was scary. I was scared. I was legit scared.
wait. So that's so
I
funny.
was fucking
I
scared.
was scared
I
too.
was scared.
I have feelings about it, but I will not say that just the shit isn't scary. Just like Hell House LLC, how we had a lot of things to say about it, but at the end of the day, we were like, damn, this shit was actually kind of scary. That's how I feel about this movie too. So I guess let's just jump into it. Get started. The movie opens up on a shot of the Pi Kappa Sig sorority house, and there's some Christmas carols playing, and then you get a POV shot from a man who's approaching the house. We're going to later learn that this man is Billy, or at least calls himself Billy. So he is watching the women inside the house. Inside the house, the women of the sorority are having a Christmas party. So he's watching the festivities, breathing hard, as gentlemen like this typically do. We then get another Billy POV, and this time he's climbing up the side of the house. He climbs just straight into their attic. From the attic, Billy is able to climb down and just access the rest of the house. That shit is terrifying.
Yeah.
Inside the house, we meet Jess and Barb. The house phone rings and Jess picks it up. And after a moment, she tells Barb that the call is for her. It's her mom. And I guess her mom is letting her know that they can't spend Christmas together.
Right. Because she's busy with her new man.
Right. That upset Barb, though. And it kind of tainted Barb's Christmas spirit for like kind of the rest of the movie, right? She was just kind of a terror.
She was out of pocket. She was nasty.
She was
She was mean.
just for the rest of the movie. Girl, what is wrong with you? Don't take it out on us. So the girls get another call almost immediately after, and it's a man that they've all dubbed the Moaner, for good reason, because Jess answers and all the women gather around to listen. These phone calls are, I can't even think of the right words to describe them. It's a lot going on. I mean, it's a lot. And the things that he's saying, they teeter back and forth between kind of insane, inaudible gibberish and just like very, very vulgar, disgusting. He also makes a lot of strange noises. He does do a lot of moaning. He says a lot of stuff about like cunts and cocks and pigs.
Pig lips.
Literally. No, that's so gross. Yeah, so he's talking about their. I hate it so much. I hated this scene. I was so uncomfortable. I wanted to like. I was listening to it through my headphones. I was like, ew. Headphones off. He's cutting up on the phone. It's like it's too wet too. I don't know. It's something like there's a lot of tongue action going on, but he's talking about licking their.
Because he's gonna lick her pretty pink cut.
Okay.
She's gonna suck on his juicy cock.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So it's like a lot of the visualization is moist.
It's also moist, and I don't like it. It's his tongue is doing a lot of type stuff. I was disgusted.
His tongue working. He letting them know. He letting them know.
I know. In any other circumstance, maybe, I don't know, call me. But in this particular instance, this shit is very scary. But he's going off on the phone, just saying a lot. And there's all kind of standing around listening. I don't really know why. These phone calls are very, very crazy. They're going to persist throughout the movie. They're a huge part of the movie. They're very uncomfortable. So Jess is holding the phone, and so they're all kind of around listening to this, but then Barb ends up taking the phone, and she really starts to provoke this guy. This man is clearly very unhinged, right? Like, the things that he's saying are crazy. I don't think that this is a prank. If I got a call like this, I would be more alarmed than thinking that it was a prank. But Barb is just kind of, her mom abandoned her, so she's in a mood.
Okay, whoa. It's the storyline you've created. She was abandoned. Her mom left her at the fire station. So now she, be the tough girl she is. She had to raise herself
Yeah, Barb's an orphan.
through her wits. She said she works in the city, so I assume she works in the bar. So because I am a service worker, I hear this stuff. I know all about someone telling me to get my pretty pink cunt licked.
All of that is true.
But then it's not funny.
It's not funny. So she's telling him off, and it's the creepiest thing. When she's done telling him off, it's just like just a half a beat of silence. And then up until this point, everything he's been saying sound very irrational, right? He sounds like a crazy person.
Right.
He sounds so lucid and direct when he says this. It's straightforward. He just says, "I'm gonna kill you," and then he hangs up the phone. And I was like, that shit is terrifying.
I thought that was crazy. I was like, man, that was scary.
That was scary.
I thought that was scary.
I didn't feel like they were alarmed enough, right? Like, wouldn't you have been scared?
Well, I was thinking maybe like they are so used to just how crazy these calls were. They're just like, whatever. Now it's just like him saying anything. But it felt weird. I was like, damn, that was good. That was a good movie.
That was a good movie. This movie has a lot of moments like that where it's like, damn,
yeah,
that was good. That was a really great touch. It's the way that he sound. I mean, give it up to the person doing the voice acting, because it sounds so creepy. He didn't say it crazy or silly. Like, he was just like, no, I'm going to kill you. And then hung up the phone.
That's all.
That
was it.
That's all I have to say. So sorority sister Claire, she is one of the women that is gathered around the phone. Claire is a girl that we don't see a lot of, first of all, so don't get too attached. But she is, I guess, new. So Jess does say that she is one of the newer members that's moved into the house. So she's newer. I think she might be a little bit younger. And Barb is a little mean to her. I guess a little bit aggressive with her. For some reason, she just kind of doesn't like her. And you can definitely get that vibe from her. So Claire says, Barb, I don't think it's a good idea to provoke this guy. I mean, the guy's clearly unhinged, right? And she reminds Barb that a town woman was just attacked and raped like a week ago. To which Barb responds, "You can't rape a townie." And I was like, what a piece of shit, right? Like, it's just, I don't know. I kept thinking, I was like, ooh, that didn't age well.
So I was confused when she said like a townie. I was thinking like, was it like a rival sorority?
No,
She meant like it's a town person.
Yeah, they call them townies. People that aren't
in the college area, like they live in a college town, and it's like
the townies. Yeah, so let's like think about it like that. Yeah, she's like, you can't rape a townie.
Barb's face is a townie, right? Is that how it works? Is that
how it's used in a sentence? When you look it up on Urban Dictionary, is that what Barb, I was like, I don't know. I kept thinking, like, does she get better? Because I can't remember hating her so much. She doesn't get better.
She's the almost like the Bud in Halloween 2. It's kind of like the asshole character. I think they had those. It's usually a man.
It's usually you're right. It is usually a man. And I just am I don't feel bad about not liking asshole men in movies. But I was like, Barb, I just felt like, okay, shouldn't we like these girls? But I didn't.
No.
No, you don't. Because Jess tells her, she's like, you should really kind of go easy on Claire because she's new, she's having trouble fitting in. And Barb is like, what does she say?
I know a professional version when I see one.
Barb. So Claire just kind of fucks off. She's kind of over it. She excuses herself from the situation and she goes upstairs to pack her bags because it's Christmas and we learn that Claire is leaving. She is going home for Christmas break to spend some time with her family. So she is supposed to be meeting her dad the next day at the train station to go back home. Barb just kind of doesn't give a shit about her. So there's that.
Well, she doesn't have to because, spoiler alert, we're saying that's the first murder of the movie.
Right. So after Claire excuses herself, she goes up to her room and we get a quick shot of the girls get a knock on the door and it is their house mother, Miss McHenry, aka Miss Mac, aka Miss Mary Mac, all dressed in black.
AKA even more, just more information on this lady dressed in black. She got silver buttons all down her back. And because her mother's not in Europe, she was able to get 50 cents from her mother to see the elephant jump over the fence.
Exactly. We already know her whole life story.
But what's wild about that is, like, it jumped so high, like, it touched the sky.
Yeah. It really didn't come back either. Yeah. Until the 4th of July.
Well, we'll be doing I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Exactly. So stay tuned, you guys. So Mrs. McHenry, she has brought them all gifts. And as they're all gathered in the room, opening them, they give her a gift and stuff. And we go back upstairs to Claire. That's how little they give a fuck about Claire because Claire isn't even involved in this gift exchange. So this scene of her in the room, it's pretty mundane. She's petting her cat, the house cat Claude, and she's taking clothes out of her closet. She's putting them in her suitcase. And we get a shot hanging in her closet is this plastic garment bag, like what you would get at like the dry cleaners. It's like a long garment bag, see-through. We as the audience know that this man that is calling himself Billy, he is hiding right behind, like within this garment bag. And he's watching Claire and he's making these little noises because Billy does that. Billy makes a lot of noise. He's not a quiet person. He is not reserved. If he's feeling it, you're gonna know it. He's gonna be pretty audible about it.
He got a song in his head every day.
A song in his head, a song in his heart, and he's gonna sing. So Claire is getting the feeling that something is wrong here. She's kind of hearing these slight noises. And so she moves closer to the closet to investigate. I cannot relate to this. It couldn't be me. Because this is all setting up Billy's first on-screen kill. She is aware that somebody is in the closet. I find that very crazy. It's not just that she has a feeling and she's investigating like, oh, is it the cat making noise or something? She's saying, who is that? Who is it? Who's there? That kind of stuff. So it's like she can see that, it's like the garment bag is kind of obscuring your view. You can't see like exactly who it is, but it's none of your sorority sisters. You know that. You just left them all downstairs. There's somebody in your closet.
She got close to the closet.
She opened the closet.
He jumped out the closet. She did.
Okay, so she gets closer and closer to the closet. She is now inside the closet. You know how sometimes like you might punch something or, like if you think somebody's hiding in your shower, you might punch it or do something really crazy so you can catch them off guard. She doesn't do anything like that. She's literally just kind of standing in front of the garment bag. She's just making it so easy. He takes this garment bag and just, essentially he grabs her and just wraps this plastic around her face and he's suffocating her. It was so quick. She didn't even have time to scream because she got that close to him. We don't actually see the aftermath of that just yet. We then watch his shadow as he leaves her room and then makes his way back to the attic and closes it. These scenes are so creepy to me.
He's carrying her.
Yes, think about that.
That dude was strong because he was carrying her and he walked up them stairs. But did you think this? I thought this. You guys have listened to episodes, so y'all know, like, me and John Carpenter, like, we got a one-sided beef. But, like, when he grabbed her with that plastic wrap, it kind of reminded you of when Michael jumped out the pantry with Bob. You remember in the first Halloween?
Dante.
And then when he's carrying her up the attic, kind of reminds you of when after Michael kills Andy and he's walking back into the house.
I'm about to drop some knowledge on you real quick. I think it's so funny that you are bringing that up because in a 2005 interview, Bob Clark was asked if there were ever plans for a sequel to Black Christmas. And he said, no, I never intended to do a sequel. Now, that would change after. So, this interview was in 2005. That would change after 2006, after the dog shit fucking remake. He was like, let me just make a sequel to give the people what they want. But we'll talk about that later. But he said, and it's all quote, I did a film about 3 years later, started a film with John Carpenter. It was his first film for Warner Brothers, who picked up Black Christmas. He asked me if I was ever going to do a sequel, and I said no. I was through with horror. I didn't come into the business to just do horror, he said. Well, what would you do if you did do a sequel? Carpenter asked him. I said it
I
would...
know you lying. You lying. Keep going.
So he told Carpenter, I said it would be the next year and the guy would have actually been caught but escaped from a mental institution. He would then go back to the house and they would start all over again. And I would call it Halloween.
Shut up. You gotta be freaking lying. Oh.
Dante. So when you say that there are parallels between this movie and Halloween, that is not just your imagination. This is an interview by Bob Clark, the director. John Carpenter has never come out and said, no, that's not true. You know, I think
He can't.
I think it's just a fact that John Carpenter was very influenced by Black Christmas, and he was obviously very influenced by this conversation that he had with Bob Clark about what would you do in a sequel. I just get the feeling that he must have really liked Black Christmas, and he was like, give me some ideas of like how you would handle this, and then he took it and made his own movie out of it. When I read this, I couldn't wait to talk to you about it. I couldn't wait to tell you, Dante. I was like, I almost wanted to text you about it, but I was like, no, I wanted to get your reaction.
I can't stand shit like that. I can't, because it's just like, so to just be so high body about your body of work, what you did, you didn't get this money, and then you like stole that. You basically had a notepad, like write it down. Come on.
Right. So it's like, I was thinking about it like, you know, in movies where the person's wearing a wire, but it's like really huge and super obvious. And they're like, so if you were going to do a sequel, how would you do it? And he's like holding the wire.
Burr, it's cold in here. There must be some toros in the atmosphere.
Right, with the camcorder permanently attached to her hand.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
I can believe it. That's so on brand.
And I didn't finish reading the article because there is an article. You know, I didn't know if they were reaching on certain things, but I just think that it's funny that you said this reminds me of Halloween, because the entire article is just kind of doing like a mirror image. It's just like, this happens in Black Christmas. This is its mirror image in Halloween. And it's going through all of these examples. And I was like, damn, that's really crazy.
But now that you're saying it, and I know we watched it, now I know, like, yeah, because there's other stuff that's very, very Halloween. Everybody steals from everybody, but just to be so high, that's my point. I want to make that point out to everybody.
I agree. Because John Carpenter will shit on somebody.
In a minute, he'll be like, I don't like this shit. I invented horror. Before me, it was nothing. And if you're a horror fan, you've heard the saga of John Carpenter.
And Rob Zombie.
To hear that, it's just like, dang. Let's just keep going. So your girl was wrapped up like deli meat.
Right. So we then cut back downstairs to all the women trading presents. And Miss Mac she is just straight guzzling liquor, right? I guess it's whiskey. It's some kind of brown liquor. She hides her liquor around the house. So she hides liquor in books. She hides liquor in the toilet. She has in her drawers, in her room. She is a legitimate alcoholic. And I couldn't quite figure out why they put this in the movie.
Oh, why she have to hide it?
Right. I guess I'm like, I don't think these girls care.
Right. I guess, by you saying, oh, she's an alcoholic. And you got to be like a hard-ass alcoholic, because wouldn't it just make more sense for it to be in your room?
Yes. But you need it.
Did you knock on the door because you lost your keys? She lived there. She's a house mother, so she lived there, right? Or did she come in and just check?
No, she lives there. She has a room there. Okay, so look, this is actually, so she knocks on the door and she goes in. I don't think they did enough to show you this in the movie. It's that scene is such a throwaway. I don't even know if you noticed. She knocked because she couldn't get in because this door sticks. It's a door that she needed help opening. That comes up again later, but this is the only time that they reference it, and it's really just a throwaway line, and she's like, oh, that damn door, or something like that.
Okay.
So then the girls get another phone call, and this time their sorority sister Phyllis, aka Phil, answers the phone. And it isn't the moaner this time. It's just Peter, who is Jess's boyfriend, calling for her. Jess tells Peter that she has something really important that she wants to talk to him about, but she'll only talk about it face to face. She doesn't want to talk about it on the phone. So they agree to meet up the next day. We then cut back to Mrs. Mack, and they really wanted to drive this home. She's brushing her teeth, and Dante, she rinses her mouth out with the whiskey that she pulled out of the back of the toilet. How fucking insane is that? How hard drinking do you have to be?
The girl is out here gargling with toilet whiskey. Like, she in prison.
I thought that was really, really wild. The girls would be okay. I think if you just fucking drank, you're hiding the shit in the toilet and then gargling Colgate and whiskey. I just thought that was like, damn, bless her. So as everyone is winding down for the night, Jess goes back to check on Claire, and she knocks on her bedroom door, but she doesn't get an answer, and I guess she just presumes that she's sleeping. But we get a shot of Claire, whose body has been brought up to the attic, and it's a very iconic shot. So they use this shot on the movie posters. They use this, like, on the DVD. Anytime you see something about this movie, it's probably going to be this shot. So it's Claire, and she's seated in a rocking chair, and she has that plastic wrap, the garment bag. It's still wrapped, securely fastened over her face, and her eyes are wide and bulging, and you can tell that she had sucked in trying to breathe when she was being suffocated because the bag is like sucked into her mouth. And you could just really tell that she struggled before she died. So I thought that was a really good shot.
Yeah, because it comes up more than once.
Dante, it comes up more than tense. So this shit comes up a lot. He thought this shit was a good shot too.
He was feeling
himself with that one.
About to change the game.
I know. I mean, it was a good shot. I can't argue with that, but damn, they don't let you forget it.
That Claire is dead.
Claire's dead. We cut to the next day and we get a shot of Claire's father, Mr. Harrison, who is waiting for her outside of the train station, but she has not shown up. So she's about 30 minutes late at this point.
Was this movie shot in Europe?
It's shot in Canada.
Okay, because like when he was outside, I was like, it looked like Europe.
It had that feeling, yeah. But I had read
Okay.
that because it's supposed like it's like a Canadian film. That's how they bill it, a Canadian slasher. So yeah, I was like, who knew? But yeah, it does give that vibe. So he, after getting pelted in the face with a snowball by this kid, he stops the kid and he asks him for help finding the sorority house that Claire lives in. The kid is familiar with the sorority, I think, because it's like their fraternity sister sorority. So back at the sorority, Mr. Harrison meets up with Mrs. Mack, and he tells her that Claire has not shown up. They look through her room and she's not there, but they can see that all of her bags are still packed and waiting. That's really a red flag, right?
It's the red flag.
Mrs. Mack doesn't, I mean, I can't think of any point where she is actually alarmed that Claire is gone, that she doesn't think that, oh, she'll just like turn up. A lot of people are like that in the movie, and I just thought that was very weird. Like, for too long.
I always wonder, like, am I just seeing it through a lens of my time? Because is it normal for people just to leave?
No, this is not normal. And it's also the way that they're reacting is not normal, and it takes her boyfriend to come in and be like, hello, let's get this shit in motion because this is not normal. We need to find her. And I thought that was mad crazy because her father is a limp noodle this entire movie. He does nothing. And it takes Chris in that fucking Hall & Oates rich girl coat that he has on. Did you see that coat? I was like, I know that coat. You're a rich girl.
Oh, here she
too
comes.
far, but you know it don't
Watch
matter
out,
anyway. I'm gonna do a side by side on the Instagram because y'all, he borrowed that coat for this film. So Mrs. Mack suggests that they both go to, I guess the girls are there. Mrs. Mack calls it a party for underprivileged children, but it's at a fraternity house. Phil's boyfriend is playing the Santa at the fraternity, and they're thinking that maybe she went to the party that morning, this event, and that she got held up there. So Mr. Harrison, he is such a wet blanket. I was like, geez, no wonder Claire is a professional virgin. He's going through her room and he's just really finding issues with everything. He has an issue with the fact that she has a boyfriend. He has an issue with the fact that she has posters. It's just a lot. But Mrs. Mack is like not really feeling him. They're very opposite.
At all.
They're very, very opposite people. She's a loosey-goosey and he has a rod up his ass. So they're just very different people, and you can tell. So Mr. Harrison she's like, well, maybe you should just drive us both to this fraternity. We can go together and check. So she has been secretly guzzling whiskey this entire time. I feel like it is impossible that these people do not smell this on her breath. That's probably why he doesn't like her, because he's like, this bitch is drunk. My daughter could be dead if she's drunk. It's 9. You know what I mean?
It smells like whiskey and toilet water.
And toothpaste. It's stunning. He's like, what is the smell coming off of you? So he's not feeling her. So this is, I guess, his first time hearing about Chris, her boyfriend. She has a framed picture of him in her room. And he's giving a lot of disapproving looks, just kind of being an asshole overall. And so he catches Mrs. Mack, who's looking for Claude, the house cat, who this fucking house cat, I feel like got 2 people killed in this movie. So she's searching all over for Claude the house cat, and she ends up calling him a prick. And he hears her and gives her this disapproving look. And I was like, bitch, she's a grown ass woman. But he ends up going downstairs to wait in the car, and we get this great shot. Do you remember this? When she gives him the finger behind his back?
Looking like Grandpa Pickles. That's what he looked like.
That's exactly what he looks like. Dante.
He looks like Grandpa
stop.
Pickles.
I
don't like him.
I don't like him either. I don't like him through the whole movie. He never gets better. He sucks. But I thought Miss Mac, I was like, oh, she's great. She gave him the finger. I was like, good for you, girl. But as they're leaving the house,
it's always good to enjoy your last moments.
Stop. Spoiler. So, as they're leaving the house, the camera pans up to the attic. And we get a shot of Claire's body sitting up there. I feel like we should have created a drinking game. Drink every time they give a shot of Claire's body in the attic, because they really want you to see she is still dead. She still has a plastic on her face. She's in the attic.
I guess in their defense, like, hear me out. It's like a bulk of the movie is them trying to find out where Claire, and it's like he like, yo, you remember Claire? Let me tell you where she at.
Dante, spoiler, y'all, it has to be said, they spend how much she dies in the first 3 minutes of the movie. Y'all, when I say, I swear they never find her. We never got the sequel. They never found her body. Like, because that's the only time they would have found it, because they do not find it in this movie. We go through the end credits and they still never found this girl's body. She is in this fucking attic till this day.
She's still sitting there, just like
she never gets discovered, y'all. Y'all, let's just keep going through it, because now that we've built it up, I'm gonna laugh when it happens. It's not supposed to be funny though, because it is supposed to be horrific. That's why they use the image on the posters and stuff.
It's just so messed up that, it's sad. Like, she was a young girl.
She was a young girl. She really died horrifically. It is a really horrific way to die. So we then cut to Jess and her boyfriend Peter, and Jess is telling Peter that she's pregnant.
Wow.
I know. I was like, damn, that's heavy to just drop on something.
In this movie, I was like, damn, wait, huh?
Exactly. Dante, I was like, at first I was thinking, why the fuck did they put this in the fucking movie? So she tells him that she's pregnant. He's super excited about it. She's like, are you dumb? She's like, I'm not keeping this fucking baby. She says, I'm getting an abortion. And I was like, damn, that's super progressive, because Roe v. Wade was only passed like 1 year earlier, like almost just like one calendar year earlier. And I was like, good for them for even putting that in there. I was like, I'm surprised that this movie wasn't boycotted for that, because it seems like every other movie we've covered has been boycotted for something.
Been boycotted.
I was like, okay, aggressive. He tells her, I don't like Peter. I'm gonna say it every time we talk about him. I don't like him. I think he's a fuck. But he tells her that she can't make a decision like that. She hasn't even asked him. She's like, look, motherfucker, I said what I'm going to do. I wasn't even going to tell you about it. But I came down here being courteous. He's super salty at this point. And he asks her to leave. And I get it. Okay. I will look at it from his perspective. I get where he's coming from. He does not handle any of this well. He doesn't handle it well. Right.
The baby it's in her.
Right. And it just is what it is. But he never accepts that. That's another thing through the whole movie. He's just never going to fucking accept that. I mean, he doesn't fucking handle it well.
In his defense, it's just been like one day. It's like all in one. It's a lot of this story.
Dante, that's so true. This whole movie is just a day. That's so crazy. And also in his defense, he's really upset that she told him about it now, especially. So he has a recital that day. So he's trying to be a professional pianist, like a professional concert pianist. It's this recital is very important to him. He's being judged. They don't really get into the depth of the importance of it, but hearing a news
He's been practicing a lot.
he's been practicing a lot. They do say that earlier.
He's been practicing. He's been practicing, and it's huge for him. So I felt like why she told him that.
I thought that was weird. I thought that it was a very weird time for her to tell him, especially
knowing you're gonna get an abortion.
Exactly. I mean, for all that, you could have waited. But
a movie got a movie, and you can't just have a whole bunch of scenes of Claire being dead. So
as much as they wanted to. So right before she leaves, they agree to meet up later that night to discuss this further, even though Jess has clearly made up her mind. But she's like, sure, I'll humor you. We can meet up. They're meeting up at 9 p.m. that night. So now we cut to the kids' party the sorority is throwing at the fraternity, and Mr. Harrison is reporting. He's on the phone. He's reporting back to his wife. He's still holding out hope that they're going to find Claire. But at this point, he's saying, I think it might be time to get the police involved. This is a very serious situation. But in the background, Barb, was she giving alcohol to a child? Did you see that?
Yes, she was.
She's giving a kid like champagne. But this isn't a kid like a 13-year-old.
No.
It's a kid like a 9-year-old. So she's giving the champagne. She's drunk. So then we cut to the police station where Barb, Phil, and Mr. Harrison are attempting to report Claire missing. But there's an officer there, Dante.
Have you ever met somebody like this that's just so like
dense? Just fucking
Magoo.
Just a fucking Magoo. I was very upset because there are always fodder cops. I couldn't believe he wasn't a fodder cop. The way that they make you hate him, I was like, surely they're gonna kill him. They don't, and I'm mad about it now.
What the hell did Billy look like leaving the house?
I know, but okay. Let's keep going. So the officer, Sergeant Nash, is being very dismissive. And he says that 90% of the time, the girl is just with her boyfriend.
It's just with her boyfriend.
Where did you get that statistic, you fuck?
Also, like, cops are gonna cop. But it's like, you work at the front desk, so you already the paperwork cop. It's not like you ever, like, walk at the beat. So you be wanting to do shit?
And my thoughts exactly.
And it's her dad. It's her dad.
Her dad is here, and her sorority sisters, and also
they live with her.
Yes, her shit is packed. But this is my thing. Additionally, I didn't think that her dad was doing enough.
He's not enough.
He's not enough in any way, shape, or form. And I was like,
he's too meek.
He's too meek. And I just, I really am not trying to shit on him, but it really does take for her boyfriend to come down here in that Hall & Oates coat for them to do anything. So,
because he from the second he hear they went, he was like, and the cop did what?
Oh, let me grab my coat. He's like, I need to go down there. So Sergeant Nash is a piece of shit. He remains a piece of shit throughout the entire film. Please, y'all.
He's so stupid.
He's so stupid. Do not ever think that he redeems himself. He doesn't. So it doesn't help the situation. And I was like, this is another point where I'm like, Mr. Harrison is too fucking weak, because Barbara, who I guess is still fucking drinking, I don't know, she's drunk. She's really not being helpful at all. She's being very flip, and she's making fellatio jokes. They're asking for the phone number at the sorority house. I didn't even think this was funny.
No, it wasn't funny. This is like, for me, what the movie is. It's not bad, but it's weird.
It's weird. I kept thinking that word kept popping up in my head as I was watching it.
Weird?
It's just weird. Something about it feels
Her character
weird.
is weird.
What's the purpose of her character? What is the purpose of anything that she does? I don't know. And then I was like, well, what's the purpose of Mrs. Mack being an alcoholic? What is the purpose of her being such an alcoholic that they have to show her hiding alcohol in books? They have to show her hiding alcohol in the toilet.
Because how many times are you going to actually have to see Claire's face?
How many times are they going to flash back to this girl's face? I don't know. It's like the way that it's shot is a little weird. I don't know. Something about it is weird. Something about it was a little off. I don't know if it's the acting. I don't know.
No, it's her. It's her character.
I guess it's the way her character's written, right? It's just weird. But okay. It is her character, but it is not only her character because the other ones do some weird stuff later too. And let's just keep going so I can point them out so we can talk about them. So I thought that this was very crazy. Mr. Harrison's, your daughter is missing. You have no idea where she is. They're asking for the phone number at the sorority house because they need a phone number to call. That's where you're staying right now, right? You don't have anywhere else to go. You need the phone number. How are the police going to contact you if something happens? You're not even stepping in and being like, actually, the phone number is this. She's giving him like fellatio as the phone number.
But this motherfucker writes it down.
He writes it down and she spells it out. And I was like, this whole thing is stupid. This entire thing is so unnecessary. It's not funny. It's not landing. What is happening here? I was like very ready for the scene to be over. It's way too long. And that's just kind of how they leave it. And Mr. Harrison looks very discouraged. And I'm like, that's your fucking fault. And then Phil is there too. Their other sorority sister, she's also not stepping in and giving them the right number. They laugh a lot at her jokes. And I don't think her jokes are appropriate because at the end of the day, Claire is missing, right? We know because her boyfriend is, because she's not with her boyfriend. Nobody knows where she is. What the fuck are y'all laughing about?
And it looks like her room looks like she was left in a hurry. You know, her stuff is just everywhere.
All her stuff is still in there. So I was like, okay, this scene's very fucking weird. It was also very unnecessary because they end up going back to the police station anyway. They could have cut all of that out. So meanwhile, back at the sorority house, Jess gets another one of the very strange phone calls. And this one isn't vulgar. It's just very, very creepy. And the person is just repeating, Billy, what your mother and I must know is, where did you put the baby? Where did you put Agnes? But it's in different sounding voices. It's so unsettling because he's vacillating between like a woman's voice and a man's voice and like a child's voice, and there's like screaming and it's low, and it's very, very, very crazy. They really went for it with the with the vocal performance here.
This was the time of vocals. This was the time of vocals. Pazuzu had good vocal. Billy had good vocal.
Yeah,
like there's a lot of good vocal.
They were cutting
here.
up with the vocal work for sure because it makes it creepy. These phone calls were creepy.
The phone calls are probably the best part.
I don't think it's the best part. I think it adds to it. I think that there's a scene later that I was like,
oh yeah,
I was like, damn that shit.
Oh yeah,
right.
That was scary.
That shit was very good. Scary. But so let's keep going. So we get there. So Mrs. Mack arrives home and she tells Jess about Claire being missing. Jess is the only sensible person in this whole house. And even she does stuff that doesn't make sense sometimes, but the cops' whole thing is 90% of the time they're with their boyfriend. Nobody called her boyfriend?
No.
Dante, I feel like my head is about to explode. So you're the dad, your daughter's missing. the house mother knows who the boyfriend is because when the dad picked up the picture of him, she's like, oh, that's the boy that she's been hanging out with, whatever. Y'all know her boyfriend. Nobody called him to check. So what, y'all were just sitting with your fucking thumbs up your asses? Like, oh, well, like, I hope she comes back. I was like, am I missing something?
He's a stupid man.
He's very stupid. So Jess does the only sensible thing that anybody has done in the movie thus far. And she just goes to Claire's boyfriend, Chris, and she's like, hey, Claire's missing. Do you know where she is? So he's at hockey practice and he's like, oh no, she left. She went to go home. And she's like, no, her dad is here. She never met up with him. He's immediately alarmed.
Because that's weird.
That's
For a
weird.
professional version to disappear like
Right.
that.
This is out of character. If she's not with me, she's not with y'all, she's not with her dad, she's new here, she doesn't know anybody else. This is strange. So he is heated when he finds out that the police weren't taking her disappearance seriously. So he grabs that coat.
Because he understands how taxes work.
This is my thing. Yes. So that's, and they don't ever really get into this. This is something they don't answer. He has a first name basis relationship with the police, and they don't explain how. Right? Like he's
a bad boy. She's a professional version. Her daddy is a simp. He's obviously a bad boy. I mean, like,
well, no,
come on.
He's not a bad boy though, because the police
not a bad boy, like a bad boy.
Like he's bad. Like he's just.
I'm sorry. Like what?
I can't. My pride won't let me do it again. The thing is, like, he has a really good relationship with. So when he gets down to the police station to take care of business in that business take care and coat,
they shook.
Right? He gets them together quick. So he makes Sergeant Nash look like the dumb fucking bitch that he is, and he's like, "I don't want to talk to you, you dumb bitch." He wants to talk to Lieutenant Ken Fuller, or some of you may know him as Lieutenant Thompson.
Nancy's daddy at work. Look, Nancy's daddy at work.
This is his job.
Nancy at home. She a little girl right now. How old she would have been in 73? She would have been like, what, 10 years? Like 5 or 6. So yeah, Nancy daddy at work, Nancy's at home.
Right. So he is just as he was in not the first movie. They're not connected at all, y'all. He is just as he was in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Literally, just the same.
He plays the exact same character in both of these movies. He is the actual smart cop. He's the one that takes care of business, and he's the only one with a fucking plan. So we love Lieutenant Ken Fuller. Nancy's dad. I loved seeing him. So during all of this, we get a shot of Peter, who is at his recital, and he's playing the piano, and he's really fucking up. He sounds atrocious. He's also very sweaty. He's distracted. He's just really fucking failing. And I was like, damn, you've been practicing that much? I call bullshit. So then I think that maybe Peter just doesn't handle stress well at all. Maybe stress, rejection, failure. I don't know what it is. He clearly has some mental health issues, right? After the recital is done, he's upset. He didn't do well. We get this shot where he literally destroys this piano. It's not a personal piano. He's in a conservatory. It's a public piano for other people that are in this school trying to be professional pianists. He takes this heavy weighted object. It's like the kind of things that, you know, outside the club that the velvet rope connects to these weighted stands.
Yeah.
He takes that and he smashes the inside of the piano with it. Just keeps keeps hitting the piano, destroying it. It's completely unhinged behavior. It's super bizarre.
And you want to have a baby?
That's Dante. Stop it, because I was like, wow, this is real father material, right? You know, like I'm not trying to shit on him because I get it. You're upset, but this is very, very much unhinged. So back at the sorority house, everyone is having dinner, and Mr. Harrison is obviously upset about his daughter missing. For some reason, Barb, who is drunk, she just starts talking about turtles having sex for 3 days straight. Do you?
I got tired of her. I thought she was gonna die faster.
I got tired. I got very, very tired of her. I found this so annoying. Dante, this scene goes on for like 5 minutes. She's drunk talking about how they have sex for 3 days, and she's like, you know how I know? Because I went to the zoo and watched them, and I didn't stay for the full 3 days. I went to see the zebras, and I was just like, this is what is this? What the fuck is this? This was so obnoxious. I was like, they could have cut all of this. They could have cut her whole character out of the movie and it wouldn't have made an ounce of difference. I think she was supposed to be the comic relief because Phil, the other sorority sister, seems to find her funny. I was like, I don't think any of this is funny.
Phil's hairstyle is funny.
Dante, do you know who that is, Phil? I was surprised because she's one of those people that I've never seen young. Do you remember My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
I never saw that. Okay, who is she?
She's like, what you mean he don't eat no meat? That's okay, I make lamb. And she's like, I had a bump, and she was like, it had teeth and hair. I can't remember what else she was in. I have to like look up what else she's in.
She played the mom or something?
No, she didn't play
Or
her
the
mom. She
aunt?
played an aunt. She played one of the aunts. But I didn't find any of this funny. I just found it very annoying.
Is that kind of humor just not funny to you?
Is it humor?
I'm asking. I'm asking like because like I know for me like I don't find like vulgarity funny.
But it wasn't funny though. There was no punchline to any of it. She was just talking. So, yes, I just don't like Barb's character, but I, I don't know if everything that she's saying is a manifestation of some sort of guilt, but when nobody laughs, the room is like fucking crickets. She just kind of like sobers up a little bit, right? And says that she thinks that everybody blames her for Claire leaving, that they think that she drove her away, and that if she turns up dead, they're gonna blame Barb. And I was like, how full of yourself can you be? Right? I was like, that's crazy. Nobody's thinking about you.
I thought that was just strange. I thought it was strange because it was like you know how usually they have those kind of scenes in movies where it's like the like villain character shows empathy, but it's like after they get like chewed out.
Nothing happens to provoke this.
So it was kind of like, man, this is a Wendy's, you know?
Stop.
Like that's kind of how it felt. Just kind of like, oh.
Does it? I felt like everybody in the room, especially Mr. Harrison, because he's like, I just met you 30 minutes ago. He's like, I don't know what the fuck what are we talking about? I don't know who you are, girl. And then so she also said, she was like, everybody's been implying this all afternoon. And I was like, bitch, who is we? Like, who is you? I just didn't know where this was coming from. I was like, damn, they must have a deleted scene that we needed. It was so fucking random. Dade.
Even if somebody had been like, damn, Barb, you know, you're so inappropriate. You're always talking about sex. You know, this is a big deal. Claire could be gone. Like, you know, there was none of that. It was straight up just like, yeah, that joke wasn't funny. Oh, so y'all think I killed Claire, huh?
Oh, it's not that I'm bad at telling jokes. It's like, oh, well, you must think I killed her then. And it's like, Mr. Harrison was looking around like, can somebody please fill me in? Is there a reason that you think this girl is responsible for my daughter being gone?
Hop on who this woman?
Exactly. He was like, if we're being honest, I haven't even memorized all of y'all's names yet. So he's like, this is very new to me. Did you do something to my daughter? Like, he's like, who is blaming you? It was so fucking crazy. Because at this point, too, nobody really believes but her boyfriend, like, even truly believes that something's wrong here. Because even the dad, the fact that you're sitting here, Dante, I was like, these people are stupid. This is a stupid group of people. They're sitting there eating dinner with side salads and shit. And it takes, like, everybody up until this point just keeps saying, she's going to pop up. I'm sure she's going to pop up. The dad has a line where he says, I just feel like I should be doing something, but I don't know what to do. Why does it take somebody to be like, hey guys, I think we should form a search party, for her dad to be like, that's it. That's the thing that I should have been doing.
Maybe the dad's the comic relief.
No, he was just tragic. He was just very pathetic. That wasn't funny. I was like, will somebody put this man out of his misery? I couldn't do it. So Barb is having a complete and utter meltdown, and I guess it's from this internalized guilt. And Phil is like, girl, embarrassing. Are you not embarrassed? This is embarrassing. She said, take your drunk ass to bed. And like, Barb is still talking and Phil's like, girl, go get in the bed immediately. I don't know where this came from. I feel like there had to be some scenes cut that we don't know about, because none of this shit makes sense. And then y'all, we don't see Barb. That's it. That's like it. We get literally 30 seconds of her later, and they don't address any of this ever again. She never even has the opportunity to sober up and redeem herself. But once she goes to bed, thank God, Chris and Jess arrive at the sorority house, and they gather everyone to start a search party, because these people should have been Claire's parents and not this fucking jellyfish that came here to sit and eat side salads and do nothing. They're the only people in the movie with sense.
Leave Lou Pickles alone.
He's so, he just gets more and more pathetic as the movie goes on. So on their way out, Mrs. Mack lets Phil know that she's not gonna go search for Claire. So she lets Phil know that she is leaving that night and she's heading to her sister's for Christmas. So she probably won't be there when they get back. But she's just like, I'm sure Claire's fine. I don't know where she's getting this idea. I'm not really sure where this is coming from.
But where else would she be? There wasn't even a scene of like, let's check like the ice cream parlor, or let's check the library. It's a school.
Or just be like, oh, well, you know what, she does that sometimes. Like, she goes here sometimes. They don't do any of that. The boyfriend's here.
They made dinner. They didn't even like order something. They was like, well, go ahead, make a little no, roast.
They didn't even, right, Dante, they didn't even eat like a cheese and crackers deal just because, they're like, well, we need to eat something to keep our strength up, but we're too sad to cook. No. They had fucking side salads. It was a multi-course fucking meal.
They sat at a table. They were like, somebody was at the table.
They set the table.
Little roast, little potato.
This is ridiculous. And then it was like freezing. I think there was like snow on the ground and stuff. Hence her boyfriend's fucking wolfskin coat. And it's just like, what if Claire fell somewhere? What if she's hurt? It's snowing. It's like -20 outside. They just were so inadequate. So while they were at the police station, when Chris was there handling business, we found out that there is a little girl that is also missing. A 13-year-old named Janice Quaife, I think. So they're deciding to do this big joint search of the area. So it's going to become a combined Janice and Claire just search. They're going to start at the park. So they have the dad goes, Phil, Jess, the boyfriend, and then they have a bunch of volunteers. The police are there. Back at the sorority house, just as Mrs. Mack is getting ready to head to her sister's house, she's packed. She's having her like drink for the road. Her cab is outside. Dante, he was blowing like
So
it's Halloween night and he has 20 fares lined up. He was blowing like this isn't a sleepy little college town.
because time is money. They work on commission pretty much. And she was wasting time.
Clearly,
She
Dante,
she didn't bring her stuff downstairs.
she didn't. She heard him blowing, and I think that she even took a sip after he was like blowing. I couldn't believe that she was sweet. I liked her. But y'all, surprise, surprise, we're setting up Billy's second on screen kill. Okay. So she's this close to being out of the house. Like at this point, Billy isn't even thinking about her, right?
He roast.
She and his side salad, he's like, I'm good for the night. So and she is so close to being able to like, get the fuck out of this house, go to her sister's. She could have survived this whole ordeal. She hears Claude, the fucking house cat.
The second ghost face.
Right? I was saying the same thing. I feel like Claude is in on this shit. I feel like Claude is also an additional killer in this fucking film. Claude is calling out to her like, "Hello, hello. Don't you want to come to the attic?" She follows the sound. She discovers that somehow Claude has ended up in the attic. Dante, wouldn't that be very strange to you? How did the cat end up in the attic?
I think it's funny that they haven't found Claire yet because I would have checked the attic. We would have checked the whole house, right?
Dante, yes.
Because Billy couldn't kill them all at the same time.
Dante, I'm so weary because they act like this attic doesn't exist. They act as if this attic is like they're only paying rent for the bottom portion of the house and they don't have access to the attic, so they just don't go there. It like they're acting like the attic, the floor is lava up there or something. They never check the attic. They never check it. They never go up there except to look for Claude, who I guarantee you would be fine. Somebody would get him. She was so fucking close to leaving. She goes up to the attic to get Claude.
Because why you care? You leaving.
How would he even end up in there? Also, additionally, there's like 4 other girls here. Somebody would get him. She was doing a lot. So as she's climbing, it's like a ladder type stairs. It's just like just a straight shoot to the attic. She's climbing up these stairs. We see that behind her, Billy is gripping this big fucking crane hook. It's a hook that's like attached to a piece of rope on the ceiling. It's like it's a pulley.
Why is that there?
Why does that exist, Dante? I don't know.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is that?
I was like, I don't have the answers to these questions because I was also thinking, when would you ever use this? Besides for the purposes it's about to be used for right now. So she is standing because now she's a drinker and she's older and she's a little big, so she's having some issues climbing these stairs. She's standing there. She doesn't fully commit to going in. She's standing with just her head and the shoulders. She's like chest height in the attic. She's looking around. It's dark. She's calling the cat. The cat is not coming. you have a cab waiting. I don't get it. But as she's looking around, I guess her eyes are adjusting to the dark, and she sees Claire's body sitting in the rocking chair, very, very clearly murdered. She still has the plastic over her face. She's shocked by this, and I think that I was wondering, what would you do? Because wouldn't you have just let yourself drop from the attic?
I was trying to get away from
Like,
there.
wouldn't... Right. But especially because she sees Claire's body, and that's very alarming, but she can also hear someone behind her. So that's terrifying. I would have just let myself fall. The height to the attic is not so high that I think that she would have been gravely injured. Or even a basic level injured. It's not very high. I would have slid down. I would have moved very quickly. She doesn't. She turns around very, very slowly, and we can see
Well,
this dude takes this fucking crane hook. It's such a big fucking hook, y'all. So he lets it go. It flies. It catches so much air. We don't see the actual impact on the camera, but the hook is deeply lodged in her fucking jugular. Okay, the hook makes contact, and we see this. Mrs. Mac gets hoisted.
what?
Mrs. Mac gets fucking hoisted off her feet. Her feet are dangling. She's pulled into the attic by the jugular with this crane, and she is killed. She's screaming the whole time. It's pretty brutal. And that was that. It happens really quickly, but also it's really crazy to watch. She's so dead though. And the cab driver, who has way too much time on his hands, I can't believe you're still here. Cab drivers have left me for less. He comes to the door, and he just starts banging on it, looking for this woman. And we see Billy just slowly and quietly closing the attic door. And then that's that. She's done. And so we get a POV through Billy's eyes. He just kind of watches the cab driver get back to his car and leave. And then he immediately starts having a fucking meltdown. Just a fucking breakdown in this attic. He is screaming. He's pushing stuff over. He's breaking stuff. He's pushing the rocking chair with Claire's body in it. And I was like, why?
I'm always confused. Is Billy the caller?
Yes, Dante.
Okay.
Yes.
How?
Yeah, he's also the fucking caller. But okay, let's keep going because we're going to get to that. So, because it's... Okay, yeah, let's just keep going. So it's at this point that we have a new shot. It's a shot that includes Mrs. Mac's body, but don't forget, Claire's fucking
Never
body
forget.
in this fucking... They
Claire
never
is
forget.
dead.
Claire's dead in here. So now the shot of the attic includes both of them. Mrs. Mac's body suspended with this hook in her neck, and Claire in this chair. And this is going to be the shot for the rest of the movie. We're going to keep coming back to this, recycling it every 20 minutes. You're going to see a shot of them. So be prepared. So back at the search, we just hear this girl screaming. She has found something out on this search. We don't know what it is at first. So Mr. Harrison, well, yeah, I guess we do know what it is, right? So Mr. Harrison rushes over to make sure it isn't Claire. We know it's not Claire because Claire's been in the same spot for the last 45 minutes of the film. And so he is followed closely by Mrs. Quafey, Janice's mother. And from the look on her face, the audience is just kind of left to assume that what they've discovered is Janice's body, the 13-year-old girl that went missing. She's been murdered. This is confirmed later. So at the sorority house, Jess is just getting home. She had to leave the search party early to go meet Peter for their fucking talk. As she's walking into the house, the phone is ringing. When she picks it up, there's some very weird garbled noises, and then what sounds like a fucking baby crying. And then a man says, "Oh God, please help me. Please stop me." And then in different voices, it's just so bizarre how the voices sound very unique. Like there's one that's very obviously a woman, one that's very obviously an older man, very obviously a child. He's just saying, "Filthy Billy, I know what you did," followed by some yelling and then just like some giggling. It's all very, very unsettling.
The phone calls are scary.
The phone calls are very scary. They're very well done. I feel like this movie doesn't get enough props for this vocal performance because this is intense. The phone calls definitely put you, it's like they keep you kind of on edge, and I think that's the best thing about them because there's not obviously not a ton of kills in this movie. Additionally, they don't show you anything. You really don't see, you never actually see the kills happen. You rarely see blood.
You never see the killer?
You never see the killer. So it leaves a lot, I don't want to say to be desired, just because, you know, I don't want to, I don't have to see every, like the gory details of things. But there, sometimes it does feel like there's a little bit of a lack of something. But,
Not
you
like a
know,
Claire though.
Claire is a star in this movie. She has one of the longest running screen times in the whole film. Claire is in this bitch.
Y'all thought Claire was going. I thought she was not gonna be in the movie because she died first. Try again.
Try again.
Surprise, surprise.
So this time, Jess is so unsettled that she decides she's going to call the police to report it. Unfortunately, she gets fucking Sergeant Nash.
Sergeant Magoo.
Right. He really should be demoted. I kept waiting for something to happen to him. It doesn't. But he's a real fuck. He says it's probably just one of their boyfriends playing a prank. And I was so heated.
Everything is the boyfriend. Hear him.
I just, what a fucking idiot. I just, so Claire's dad, thank goodness he's there and he's in earshot because he can hear the address that the sergeant takes down. And so he knows that it's the sorority house. And he is concerned because what are the odds that they'd be getting these menacing phone calls and your daughter is missing, a girl's been murdered, you know, just from the same sorority house. So he is too weak to go to the police himself. He talks to Chris about it. And so they end up taking it to the only competent officer across these two film franchises, Lieutenant Fuller. So Fuller humbles Nash expeditiously. He's like, "Nash, think about it. A girl is missing from this exact same address. Don't you think this would be important information? You fucking idiot." Like Nash is a doctor diagnosed fucking idiot, a nincompoop. So
A nincompoop. Diagnosis? Nincompoop.
nincompoop, yes. So
Diagnosis? I'm sorry to report.
I'm sorry, your son is a nincompoop. So while Jess is on the phone with the police while all of this is happening, we see a shadow approaching her from behind. The movie makes you think that it's Billy, but it's just Peter, who's apparently been napping in her room this whole time. That's like mad suspicious, right?
No.
It is suspicious. There's
More.
been a
It's
murder.
been a murder. Oh, because we don't. Are we supposed to think that it's that he's Peter, right? Well, Peter is
You
Billy.
sup-
Okay, because in my mind I
uh-huh.
was like, I thought you were saying, I'm like, no, you know how it was when we were younger. We'd be just wake up, show up at each other's room, you be in class, somebody in your bed sleeping, it ain't nothing.
Right. Yes, that's true, except here there's a murderer about.
All right, so in the context of the
So
movie, yeah, that's meant for sure.
it's
I thought you meant just like in like
no, like
somebody.
in
I'm
general,
like, no,
no.
you know how it was.
Right. Well, no. That's just for this instance. So he's apparently napping in her room this whole time. Okay. As he and Jess talk, he tells her that he comes to her as if this is supposed to be like this grand gesture. He's telling her that he's dropping his dream of becoming a concert pianist, and he just tells her they're going to get married. And she takes this time to humble him expeditiously. She tells him that he's not the only one when they got together that had dreams and ambitions, and he can't expect her to give up her ambitions just because he's changing his plans. Now, what he is not
And by
telling
changing
her
them is your ass sucked. You didn't make it, so you're not doing no grand gesture.
exactly, and not only did you not make it, you destroyed this piano
You ain't got
after
no
you had a
money
bad
either.
recital. And so they're obviously not going to keep you anyway. So I was like, fuck you, asshole. So she says that she can't marry him. And then she says, you know what? Fuck that. I don't want to marry you. And I was like, okay, Jess. She's not letting him down easy. So after all of that, he's like, well, then what about the baby? She
What about them?
reiterates. Exactly. She was like, I was very clear earlier. I don't think I stuttered one time. She said, I'm having the abortion, and he calls her a selfish bitch. And then he starts like breaking Christmas lights on their tree. I was like, bro, you don't need a child.
You are a child.
Thank you. Yes. So he tells her that she's talking about having an abortion, like she's talking about getting a wart removed. And I was like, this is all very unstable behavior. So she's at a certain point, she's like, okay, you know what? Like you need to like leave. And so he tries to threaten her. He's like, you're gonna be sorry or something along those lines. This is a horrible way to approach this subject. Now she's never gonna not get the abortion, right? Like, why would I want to have a baby? Like, you're just showing me that I don't want to have a baby with you. You're a real psycho.
I wonder why the movie made these decisions.
I, Dante, there were right.
Abortion, child murder, alcoholism,
Why did they put all these things? It
Claire.
could like it like fucking Barb. I just like it could have been a whole complete movie without any of these things.
the,
But
the the abortion storyline is very intense. And then just like the
is
middle of
it's
nowhere,
wild.
the child murder is just also a lot of it's
Well,
it's I guess
so we're
the
gonna get
thing
to
I guess the thing is I'm trying to say is there's this idea of like the child murder is supposed to be like a murder mystery, but every like 15 minutes we get a shot of Claire being dead.
that's the thing.
Cause imagine if we never saw like imagine if we would have just saw Claire walk into the closet and then scream, but then we never saw anything. and then all of this happened, and then all of a sudden, at the end of the movie, we catch that scene of Claire being upstairs the whole time, like wrapped in the
That would have been very, very
You
creepy.
know what I'm saying? So it's just like,
Right.
of course we know Claire's not in the park. She's upstairs, wrapped like deli meat. I promise you.
I know that, yes, I know she's not in the park, and yes, the way they shot that scene where they're screaming and you don't actually see who they're looking at, it's shot as if we don't know that Claire is dead in the attic already. I believe that Billy killed the 13-year-old as well.
He was,
I'm
yeah, he did that
I'm pretty sure
before he got there.
before he got to the house. Yes. So I think that it's all connected. I think that they just don't do a good job. They could have not had. What was the point of having the 13-year-old to put everybody on edge that there's been a murder because they refuse to let people find Claire's body?
Right, and then it's also, okay, the 13-year-old is dead at the park, but everybody else dies in the house.
Right.
So it's not like people are just dying around the town, and it's like we have somebody on the, like, because it'd be different if, I guess, while I was watching, I was thinking, like, what if somebody would have died at the piano? If I don't know,
You're right.
I'm
Yeah.
about to spoil. I don't want to
Because
spoil it because it's like, well, what if somebody would have died at the conservatory, and then at the
let's continue and get there
okay,
because this is
yeah.
the,
I don't want to spoil
so
it.
okay, yeah.
Okay.
So as he's on his way out, Phil, Lieutenant Fuller, and a guy named Graham from the telephone company, they arrive to put a tap on the house phone and to do a little bit of fucking investigation, right? Because at this point, no police have even come to the house to look at Claire's room or anything. There could be things that they haven't noticed
Right.
that a cop might notice, So they're putting taps on the two main phones, the ones that have been getting the calls. And then Mrs. Mack has a phone in her, she has like a private line too, but they just decide to not tap that one because they were like, oh, well, that one never gets the suspicious calls. They also station a cop outside of the house to watch over them. And so you already know, fodder. Because this cop is so fucking useless. I barely even remember what his like face looked like. He's so useless. So as Lieutenant Fuller is leaving, we see that Peter is very creepily lurking behind a tree, like across the street from the house, and he's watching the house. And so that's pretty weird. He didn't actually leave. I found that to
That
be
came out of
bizarre.
nowhere.
It came out of nowhere. And I guess the thing is, the setup is, well, after she said, I'm having the abortion no matter what, he was like, well, you're going to be sorry. So I guess that's the setup. You're thinking, okay,
So
I don't know.
so now we're supposed to believe that Billy all this time is Phil. You see what I'm saying? Not Phil.
Is
Peter.
Peter.
Peter. You know,
Right, Dante, that doesn't
that
make
seems weird. That
sense.
seems strange. Like that came out of nowhere. I didn't like that.
The thing that seems so strange about it is they didn't do a good job of setting it up because the first kill, Claire's kill, didn't happen after he found out about the abortion. You know what I mean? He had nothing, he had no pressure at that point. He hadn't bombed his recital. She hadn't told him she was pregnant and getting the abortion. He was just a really normal guy. At that point, he hadn't even, when she told him that she was pregnant, he was like, "Oh, that's great." It wasn't until after she told him about the abortion that he started to lose it and crack. But Claire's already dead at this point. So I'm not finding it easy to believe that Peter could possibly be the killer. That doesn't make sense because Claire got killed too early. I mean, what do you think? Like,
I feel like I didn't think it was a murder mystery.
I mean, I guess you're supposed to think that Peter could possibly be
But were
Billy.
you supposed to?
Yes.
That
Yes, you are supposed to.
the whole movie? The movie starts off with a POV shot and somebody
No, but you wouldn't think it in the beginning. You would
that
have no
that
idea.
right, he broke in and he killed that girl. He killed Claire and then they're looking for Claire and I just never watched it. When I was watching it, I wasn't watching it like, oh, we're trying to figure out who killed Claire. I
No,
never watched it
neither
like
was
that. I always
I.
watch it like when are they gonna find Claire? Is my question.
Dante, how much time you got? Because they haven't found Claire to this day. Okay, so this is my thing. I get what you're saying. In my mind, there was no mystery to it. And then all of a sudden, it just felt really forced that they were like, oh, well, it could be Peter. And I'm like, well, why? How could it be Peter? That doesn't make sense. Why would he kill Claire? What could possibly be his motive to kill Claire?
Because we never see Billy leave the house once he's there. You know, it's never like he
Right.
go.
He's always
It's
in the
the
attic.
hot attic, so it's not like oh, because it'd be different. Okay, let's say like it was a party. You know, it was a party, and you just got different POVs of different stuff happening at this party. And it's like, oh, well, it could be Chris, oh, it could be Phil, oh, it could be Barb.
Mm-hmm.
Barb just went upstairs, and it's like you never see Barb again. So it's like, ooh, where is Barb? Drunk. She's drunk.
That's literally where she is the rest of the movie.
I didn't realize this is supposed to be a murder mystery. Who's the killer? I thought it was just kind of like
Because they don't introduce it until too late. That's why.
right. You know, like and Michael Myers is just like oh, he's just this. We don't know who this is, but we know who's the killer. It's him. So I mean, there's a lot going on: abortion, murder, alcoholism.
Right. I thought it was weird that the whole thing about putting the abortion stuff in the movie is that I guess let's get there because even Lieutenant Fuller asks, when did he find out that you wanted to get an abortion? And she's like, oh, he found out this morning. He's like, are you sure not last night? And she's like, yeah, no, it was this morning. But remember, Claire's already gone. So if you're trying to use that, like they keep building up the abortion thing as the reason that he's supposed to have snapped, it doesn't work. The timeline doesn't work. I guess unless your whole reason is for Jess to think that he could be the killer and it like we know that he's not. They don't play it that way, but I don't know if that was their goal. I don't know. So Phil is having a hard time dealing with Claire's disappearance and she decides to take some medicine and go to bed. Jess and Lieutenant Fuller, everybody's just kind of now waiting for this call to run the tap on this phone. So while all of this is happening, we get a POV from the killer, Billy, and he's like babbling, sobbing, and just like rocking Claire's dead body in this rocking chair. And he's put a baby doll in her arm. And I was like, okay, they were like, ugh, it's been that 20 minutes. We need to put another scene of Claire.
But let's do something fun with it, though. What you thinking?
We'll give her a doll. She hasn't
Oh
had a
yeah.
doll. That's fun.
Oh yeah. We go Rockabye Baby. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Write that down.
Right. Write that out. Write that out.
Write it down.
So we then see Billy climb down the stairs of the attic and he goes into Barb's room. Now, Barb sees him, but she assumes that it's a nightmare and she starts having an asthma attack. And so I guess when she wakes up, Billy leaves the room, gets scared and like leaves the room. Jess rushes in and comforts Barb. She gives her an inhaler. She kind of puts her back to bed. And then Jess hears some carolers outside of the house. So she goes outside to listen to them sing. And this is all setting up Billy's third on-screen kill. So Billy then sneaks back into Barb's room. And while he's standing over her, he says things like, "It's all right, Agnes. It's me, Billy. Don't tell what we did, Agnes." It's none of it really makes sense to us. He then picks up this unicorn figurine and it's glass. It has a super long horn. I mean, I'm talking about like a 12-inch horn. We then get this, it's such a good shot.
Yes.
It's Billy lifting the unicorn up over his head to like go and stab Barb, but he just kind of holds it there for a minute, and he is totally in shadow except for one of his eyes. So you can just see kind of the outline of his body and face, but all in darkness, just the one eye is illuminated. It's such a good shot. I'm going to put it on the Instagram because I thought they did a really good job with that. He then proceeds to stab Barb over and over again with this unicorn until she's dead. And her screams are all drowned out by those carolers. And then the movie, because it doesn't need them anymore, it does the logical thing and somebody pulls up and they're like, "Hey, y'all need to get the fuck out of here. A girl's been murdered tonight. There's a child murderer on the loose." And so they're like, "That's okay, our job was done anyway. Barb's dead." And so the carolers fuck off, and Jess runs back into the house to pick up the phone because they are getting a phone call. Now, with the wiretap, Lieutenant Fuller is also getting the call on a phone at the station as well. So they're doing this to try to trace this call. So the caller is saying some pretty freaky stuff again, but in several different voices. And along with some new things, they start to repeat that line that Peter told Jess earlier that night about how she's treating the abortion like she's getting a wart removed. And that really freaks Jess out because that's scary as fuck, right? It was a conversation. They were only the two people there.
Two people in the house.
Right. So the caller ends up hanging up. It wasn't long enough for a trace, unfortunately.
It felt like it though.
It felt like forever, yes, but it's not. But it's like 74. So these traces take. I mean, the guy is
In a room.
He's in a room, like I guess with like the original fucking phone lines, like the very first phone lines. I mean, it might as well be one of those fucking operator switchboards. What he's doing is crazy. I was like, damn, he was hustling too. Bless him. He's the real MVP of this whole thing because he was running all over the place trying to figure out this fucking tap. So Jess is very unsettled, and so she wakes up Phil and she tells her how freaky it was that the caller repeated parts of her argument with Peter. She then is starting to wonder if Peter might be responsible for these calls after all. But before they can dwell too deep on that, the phone rings again. It's Peter calling, and he is sobbing ultra pathetically about Jess killing this baby. And Lieutenant Fuller, so awkward, he hears this entire conversation and he's like, damn, this shit is really weird. So he tells the phone company guy to trace this call too, which is smart because I guess in his mind, Peter could have just called you a minute ago, hung up, and called you right back. Like, he's convinced that this is Peter, all of it.
Right.
So he's like, Peter sounds like a killer to me. And he calls and he's talking to Jess, and he's like, was he ever with you when you received any of the calls? And she was like, yeah, he was here earlier when a call came through. So thank goodness it couldn't possibly be him. So in her mind, she's cleared him of all charges. And in my mind, I'm like, even if Peter isn't making these calls and he didn't kill Claire, he's giving very much like abuser vibes, right? Like, doesn't he look like at a certain point he could kill her?
He was going to kill her.
Yeah, he's clearly unhinged. So Phil and Jess breathe a sigh of relief at this, but Lieutenant Fuller is like, I don't know. I still want to talk to this guy because he seems like a weirdo. And before he hangs up the phone with her, he's like, look, I gave you one job. You only have the one job. Please keep this person on the phone long enough for us to trace the call. And she's like, I'm doing my best, but it upsets me.
He was like, I'm going to upset you.
It just keep him on the damn phone. So as Phil and Jess are going about the house, some men appear at their kitchen window and then at their back door, and they just open the door for these men.
Idiots.
I was like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. You're just lucky that this movie's plot doesn't make these two people the killer, because they could have easily been. They're a part of this search party that has now turned into, like, I guess, a lynch mob. They're looking for the killer. The girls are just really not practicing any fucking life skills. The two men tell the women, they're like, lock all your doors and windows. The search party is going to be around to try to keep you safe. And it's at this point that Jess, they're closing the door, they're locking it. And she looks at Phil, Dante. She says that this back door is literally the only entryway, including all the doors and windows, that's locked in the whole house. I was like, whatever happens to y'all, you had it coming at this point.
Some people live like that, though. I'm not justifying it. I'm saying
that's fine.
I'm saying, like, that's how crazy people are. They'll just be like, yeah, I'll just leave this open. It's okay. The rest not come in.
Dante, that's fine if you live that way.
It's not, though.
It's not, but it's 74. You live that way, whatever. But there's a murderer on the loose. You know
and your
that.
roommate's missing.
The first thing you did when you got home wasn't lock your doors. You know that she never left the house. Did nobody ever think about it? Nobody saw her leave the house. Okay. So now they're finally going around to lock things. While they're doing this, Phil hears Barb's door slam, kind of open and close. So she goes in there to check it out. When she enters the room, the door slams behind her. I hope she wasn't your favorite character, because that's the last time we'll ever see Phil again. So Jess is still making sure things are locked when we get a shot of someone. Okay, so this is it, Dante. This is like the kind of reveal. I hate that they put this scene in here. You see someone using Mrs. Mack's personal telephone line to call the house. So we know now, because when Jess goes to pick it up, of course it's Billy. So of course we now know that he's been calling her from Mrs. Mack's personal line. So he's in the house. I hate that they put this in here, because it totally negates, I think, what is supposed to be the climactic scene of them discovering that the calls are coming from inside the house. You see him making the call from inside the house. So, of course, Billy, he's calling her a bitch.